Hello and welcome to Crypto News. Today is December 4th, 2025, and here are the top cryptocurrency news stories. Today we'll start with our own countries and go first to Taiwan, which aims to launch its own stablecoin in 2026. As it enacts more positive legislation for cryptocurrencies, we'll see more about stablecoins in the rest of the episode. From Taiwan, we'll go to Georgia, which is partnering with Hedera. Specifically, the Georgian Ministry of Justice signed a memorandum of understanding with Hedera as it looks into the possibility of transferring the country's assets to on-chain and tokenization. Georgian officials said they are considering transferring data from the National Agency of Public Registry to the blockchain network, hoping this would ensure even greater protection of property rights, transparency, and reliability of processes. And let's just say that this is not the first time Georgia has entered the blockchain, as already in 2017, Georgia has registered over 100,000 land titles on the Bitcoin blockchain, so they definitely know what they are doing. Moving on, we will look at England and a very positive law on cryptocurrencies where essentially the UK passed a bill that officially recognizes digital assets as property in an attempt to provide greater legal clarity to courts dealing with certain cases. So now digital assets have the same legal status as traditional forms of property. A very positive law from the UK. Moving on now, we will look at our ETFs. We'll start with the Spot Bitcoin ETF, which closed on December 2nd with $58.5 million in inflows, and on December 3rd we had $14.9 million in outflows. However, this interest in ETFs, especially BlackRock's, doesn't seem to be stopping. As we can see in the stock options market, there is very high open interest in Nvidia shares with over 20 million contracts. And the second largest market in the US is the iShares Bitcoin Trust with 7.9 million open interest. However, as I said, interest doesn't seem to be stopping in Bitcoin ETFs, specifically BlackRock's. Moving on to my Ethereum ETFs. On December 2nd, we had $9.9 million in outflows. On December 3rd, we had $140 million in inflows. Low numbers for our ETFs overall, as you can see. Now let's say that for the rest of the market, Franklin Templeton launches its own Solana ETF, which also leverages staking via the Solana blockchain to maximize its profits. While the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, simultaneously sends warning letters to ETFs, as the SEC has stopped several ETFs that offer 3 times or 5 times leverage in their ETFs, claiming that such high leverage is too risky for investors under the legislation I'm telling you about, and for that reason rejects them. This is something to also think about here. If you use too high leverage in your trades, you're not trading, you're essentially gambling, so be very careful when you move forward. We're going to go to our stablecoins, and we're going to go to Sonium, which is Sony's own blockchain, and they're releasing a stablecoin. The Startel Group has partnered with Sony's blockchain to launch a stablecoin that's pegged to the US dollar for institutional use as far as we can tell. So Startel USD is the first stablecoin on the Sonium blockchain, because there's more to come. At the same time, as we speak, the CEO of Coinbase is saying something that I've been saying in episodes for years, that banks that don't focus on stablecoins will be left behind, and on blockchain in general. The CEO of Coinbase said that the best banks are taking advantage of this as an opportunity. Speaking of stablecoins, Coinbase CEO Larry Fink didn't name any specific banks during a conversation with BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, but he did say that those who oppose it will be left behind. And we're not just talking about stablecoins here. We're talking about blockchain technology in general. Banks and financial institutions that try to reject these things will simply be left behind. Moving on to our coins, we'll turn to Solana's mobile phone, which is doing what everyone has been waiting for, issuing its own currency. Let's say Solana is going to issue its own currency, which will be tied to its own mobile phone, the Seeker, in early 2026, specifically in January. This currency will be used as the governance currency for the Solana mobile ecosystem. Let's say there will be 10 billion tokens. 30% will go to airdrop, 25% will be reserved for development and collaboration, 10% for liquidity, 10% in a fund where they have 15% to pay Solana Mobile and 10% to pay Solana Labs. So that's the money from Solana's mobile phone. Continuing, we're going to go into our prediction markets, and we're going to Connecticut, where Connecticut's Department of Consumer Protection has ordered Robinhood, Crypto.com, and prediction market Kalshi to halt operations over what it has labeled as unlicensed online sports gambling in the state. As these 3 companies described, they have their own prediction markets where people go and gamble. First of all, according to Connecticut, these 3 entities are not regulated in the state, and for that reason, they were ordered to cease operations. At the same same time, Polymarket, which is the largest prediction market we have on the planet right now, got the green light from the CFTC to return to America. So we expect the volume on Polymarket to increase a lot. Continuing, we'll go to Ethereum, which, as you know from the previous episode, had an upgrade that was successfully completed, and this Ethereum is very happy and managed to reach $3,150. I will also have you below in the description this nice article explaining the full Fusaka upgrade and the 11 upgrades that are coming. Yesterday we saw the most important ones, but there are also smaller upgrades that help Ethereum become better. They are all below in the description for you. Moving on now, we will go to our last coin for today, and we will go to Cardano, which, as you know, had a vote of 70 million ADA to be allocated for the development of the ecosystem in general. According to this article, this proposal received over 60% support in the self-governance vote, marking the fastest increase since the launch of Cardano's on-chain voting system. So this money will be allocated for development in the end. Moving on to our favorite market, Bitcoin is sitting nicely at $92,000 at the moment. We are above our resistance, and we hope to make it support so that we can continue to go up. A small number that is helping to lower interest rates is private sector payrolls, which fell by 32,000. Let's say the previous month it was at 47,000. They were expecting it to be at 40,000, but it came in at 32,000, much lower than expected. So this is not good for the US economy, but as we have said in crypto news, it is pushing Mr. Powell to lower interest rates, which is what we want. That wraps up the top news for crypto today, December 4th, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.